iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. Let's take a look at last night's game, and then we will go mining the box scores for Fantasy Gold. The Tennessee Titans win 36-22. My man Derrick Henry, 19 carries, 131 yards. He had that big run at the end of the game. They had said they wanted to get Henry more involved, and they did. 19 carries to Murray's 12. When you saw Henry, even at the end of the game, he's got an extra gear that most guys don't have. If you've been holding on to him, there's with good reason. He is a very good player, and I want you guys to watch him closely. Marcus Mariota, 306 yards and a touchdown. Didn't have great movement back there, but look, he played the Colts, and he played well enough to win, and he got the big victory, and I think it was an important victory for the Titans. So good to see that Mariota was no worse for the wear, didn't come out any more injured than he went in, so good news there. Eric Decker and Rashard Matthews played well. Tywan Taylor had that one great catch. I'm ready to, no, not too much Delaney Walker, which didn't surprise me. I'm ready to see Corey Davis when he returns. That's the player I really like for the Titans. Be interesting to see him. Jacoby Brissett, I thought, did a very good job last night. I know the numbers are only 212 yards and a touchdown, but I thought he played better than those numbers indicate. I think the biggest problem with the Colts, and I don't know if you watched the game, but Marlon Mack early on in the game had a big run. And they said, oh, we want to get Marlon Mack the ball. Then they stopped giving him the ball. Then it became like a Frank Gore love fest. Marlon Mack needs to be getting the football. This is a guy who's an exciting, fast player. And he needs to be getting the football. Not old and decrepit Frank Gore. You want to win a football game, you're going to have to go and make this move. But it's very disconcerting to fantasy owners when they say, oh, we're going to get Marlon Mack more involved, but you didn't. 2 carries is not more involved. And if you played Marlon Mack, I can't blame you. If you paid a lot for Marlon Mack in free agency, I don't blame you either. I blame Chuck Pagano, as in gone. Fire this dude. I've been saying it for how long? Terrible. Rob Chizitsky, terrible. Dante Moncrief showed up, 5 for 67. Jack Doyle, welcome back, 7 for 50 and a touchdown. I love me some Jack Doyle. T.Y. Hilton. I mean, look, when you're playing the Tennessee Titans, who have one of the worst pass defenses ever, and you can't get T.Y. Hilton the football, you're going to lose the game. See, I can look at this box score. If you had the final score for me, and you showed me this box score, I know the Colts lost this game. Because T.Y. Hilton had 1 catch for 19 yards. I mean, the minute I see that, I know it's over. The minute I see that there's more Moncrief and more Doyle, I know they didn't win this game. You win in the NFL with your superstars. I can't say it enough. You win with your superstars. You don't give your superstars the ball, you don't win. This is not rocket science. Sometimes people complicate things. You ever realize that people make things harder than they have to be? You know, like, isn't this supposed to be easy? Give the ball to Julio Jones. Boom. Give the ball to A.J. Green. Boom. Give the ball to T.Y. Hilton. Boom. I don't need a couple of advanced degrees to know this. I don't. Seriously. I don't even need to graduate high school to know this. Give the ball to your best player. Do you remember when we were kids in the playground? What'd you do? Give it to Mikey. Give it to Johnny. Right? Because Johnny would score every time. That's who you gave it to. I mean, come on. All right, let's go mining the box scores for Fantasy Gold. The Giants, the G-Men. You know what I want you to see there? Evan Engram had 7 targets. Eli only completed 11 passes and 5 went to Engram. He only threw the ball 19 times and 7 of those went to Engram. You want Evan Engram. You want him in your lineup now. Cornerbacks, too small for him, and linebackers aren't fast enough for this guy. He's a beast. For Denver, once again, I look at the box score, I tell you they lost. Jamal Charles, 5 carries, C.J. Anderson, 9. I know they were behind in this game, and I know game flow means everything, but I think what I'm looking here is also Emmanuel Sanders is out, and those are a lot of targets. I think Benny Fowler is the biggest recipient of those targets. Let's not forget there's that Thursday night game when we always go, when we go minding the box score, sometimes people forget what happened on Thursday. I don't forget what happened on Thursday. That's why I do this job with you. Okay, when you're going to look at it, I don't really see much here to speak of. Nothing's really coming out to my attention except that Nelson Aguilar got 7 targets. He had the second most on the Eagles, and I would say that he's absolutely in play, a better play than Torrey Smith. I think Jeffrey is the first look. Ertz, Jeffrey tied for 1, and then Nelson Aguilar over Torrey Smith. Okay? So let's keep it moving here. Washington and San Francisco. Jamison Crowder, 5 targets, 3 catches. Terrell Pryor, 5 targets, 3 catches. We are still seeing Josh Doxson. We're still seeing Ryan Grant. We're seeing Vernon Davis. We're seeing Jordan Reed. This is not very good news for Crowder and Pryor. It's just not. I don't want to press the panic button, but I'm close. I'm really close. Like, my hand is over that button. You know how, like, The Voice, you ever watch The Voice and, like, Blake Shelton's holding his hand over the button? Is he going to press the button for the singer? That's where my hand is right now on Pryor and Crowder. It's not good. And when I press that button, I'm getting rid of these suckers. For San Francisco, I don't know if you noticed it, George Kittle, second most targets on that team. Garcon with 12, Kittle with 8. It's a lot of targets there. C.J. Beathard will be the new quarterback. I don't hate him. I don't hate C.J. Beathard. I know that Kyle Shanahan saw something in him, and he saw something he must have liked. And I'll tell you this, I think Kyle Shanahan's a pretty good judge of talent. I never really liked Mike Shanahan, but I've been impressed with Kyle Shanahan. That team plays really hard. That team plays really good football. Does. Okay, I want you guys to look at something very carefully. You're going to see that Alex Collins had 15 carries. But I want you to ask yourself this one question, especially if you're in a PPR format. This is very important, okay? So listen to what I'm saying. In a PPR format, ask yourself, how many targets has Alex Collins had in the last 3 games? 2. 2 all season. This makes him a good standard league player, but not a good PPR performer. I'll give you another guy who I look at the same thing. Mike Gillislee. How many targets does he have this year? 0. If Mike Gillislee doesn't score a rushing touchdown, he is a big, fat 0. Be very careful when you play him. Be very careful when you play him, because if he doesn't score, he ain't going to help you win. He is not going to help you win. Fact. Okay? Just throwing that out there. I really want to see what's up with Rashad Perriman. I worry about him. I don't know whether or not he's going to be back. I really doubt that. So, if he's not there, let's take a look. Rashad Perriman got whacked. He had a concussion. He's got to go through protocol. So when he left, this kid Chris Moore had 7 targets. Mike Wallace had 5. Campanaro, I like Michael Campanaro. He had 5. Michael Campanaro is like Cole Beasley light. That's the type of player he is. He's not going to be a sexy player, but he'll make plays. He'll make some plays. Just throwing that out there. For Chicago, there's nothing to look at. There's nothing to look at. Deion Sims, you're going to go pick up Deion Sims. Here's what you should learn with Deion Sims and Zach Miller, okay? That Mitch Trubisky's going to his tight ends. Mitch Trubisky completed 8 passes and 4 of them went to his tight ends. That's what you need to learn. And 2 are for touchdowns. So Mitch Trubisky is not throwing to his wideouts. He's throwing to his running backs and tight ends. His wide receivers had like 3 catches on the day. 3. Not good. All right, the Texans are off this weekend. Man, I've been riding the Texans to fantasy success this year. No Deshaun Watson, no Lamar Miller, no DeAndre Hopkins, no Will Fuller. Oh, my God. I hope I can make it through this week. I do. But we'll have to see what happens. For Cleveland, who knows who's the quarterback there? I can tell you this. I'm still on Ricardo Lewis. And take a look at a kid named Kason Williams. He had 6 targets last week. Now, here's what I'm worried about. If DeShone Kizer comes back, all that you see in this box score is for naught. So here's what you see now. I'm just going to read you the numbers. 6, 7, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1, 5, 5. That was Kevin Hogan spreading the ball around. DeShone Kizer doesn't do that. He's a first read kind of guy. So we may have to reevaluate everything if we see that DeShone Kizer's in the game. Okay? DeShone Kizer went to Duke Johnson, and he went to one receiver. End of story. I mean, that is it. End of story. In the NFL, you remember the Randy Moss ratio, where it was give this guy enough targets. How are the Atlanta Falcons not giving Julio Jones enough targets? Matt Ryan threw 35 times. 7 of those targets went to Julio Jones. That is 1/5. That is 20%. Julio Jones should be getting 40%. 40. There you lose. Once again, I look at that box score. I see a loser. You had a big play with Marvin Hall, and you found Austin Hooper, but where is Julio Jones Roto? You don't win if you don't find Julio Jones. It's simple. Very simple. So when you look at that box score, that's what you should be seeing here. Julio Jones will start dominating. For Miami, I know Kenny Stills had a big play, but this is really Jarvis Landry with 14 targets and everybody else just picking up the rear. Really picking up the rear. New Orleans Saints, you better be worried right now, and here's why. Okay? Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara were exceptional last week. Exceptional. They had 35 carries and 9 receptions. That didn't leave a lot for everybody else. Ted Ginn had 4. Humananui had 2. Coleman had 2. Snead had 1. Thomas had 3. Remember the old days when they used to throw the ball more? Well, I'm a little bit worried. If I had Michael Thomas and Willie Snead this morning, I am a little bit worried. I am. I'm telling you that right now. So be careful with that. Watch that closely. For Detroit, looks like Golden Tate is going to be out for an extended period of time. Take a look at TJ Jones. TJ Jones had 9 targets. And also Jared Abbrederis. You need a guy, that might be a guy to look at late. I know Kenny Galladay should be back, but in case he's not, that's where I'm going. Minnesota, Green Bay. I'm worried about Marty B and Randall Cobb. I am. Look at the targets there. Nelson had 10, Adams had 10, Cobb had 3, Bennett had 4. First of all, it's a terrible offensive line. Next, Brett Hundley's a running quarterback. Next, he's not going to go into 3 and 4 progressions. He's not going to look and reading. So he's going to go, Jordy Nelson's not there, he's running. This is the old DeShone Kizer method. Right? Nelson's not there, I look for a running back, I'm running. So if I had Randall Cobb right now or Martellus Bennett, I am panic-stricken. Panic-stricken. I think their value plummets. Much like David Caruso's career after NYPD Blue. Okay, Minnesota. Adam Thielen, 13 targets. Kyle Rudolph, 9. Jerick McKinnon, 6. Nobody else worth anything. I would like to see what this team looks like with Diggs back. I want to see it. The Jets, Robbie Anderson had 12 targets. Austin Seferian-Jenkins had 11. Matt Forte had 8. You would hope Matt Forte wouldn't even touch the football when Bilal Powell comes back. Elijah McGuire was never even looked at. Really, wasn't even looked at. For New England, it's simple. You know who gets it. Cooks, Gronkowski, Amendola, White, and Deion Lewis is getting the football way more. Chris Hogan barely got looked at. When they're ahead, they don't need Hogan. When they're behind, they need Hogan. So you got to be careful with your Hogan weeks. I think a lot of people think that Chris Hogan is this must start. I don't think that way. I think he's a great player, but I'm not sure he's a must start. For Tampa Bay, Adam Humphries has got some action there. They were behind, so that's a hard game to look at. When you look at it, you go, well, they were playing from like 1,000 points behind, so that was just game flow. I think what I'm more concerned about in this game, Adrian Peterson had 26 carries. He's going to get 20 carries a week. If he gets 20 carries a week, you've got to think that Larry Fitzgerald is going to see the football because he's a Hall of Famer. And John Brown is Carson Palmer's best friend and roommate. So maybe you don't see Jerron Brown. Maybe you don't see J.J. Nelson. Maybe you don't see anybody else. I'd be very worried if I owned those guys. Speaking of worried, I'm worried about Sammy Watkins, man. 4 targets. Seems out of sorts. They never went back to him. You got to feed Sammy Watkins. I know it was a tough game against Jacksonville, but you've got to feed Sammy Watkins. For Jacksonville, you've got Marquise Lee, and Chris Ivory had 10 targets. Alan Hearns had 3. This is a Marquise Lee show. I mean, literally, Blake Bortles goes down. Where's Marquise Lee? Marquise. Psh, that's it. Everybody else, pretty much a big, fat 0. All right. The Chargers and the Raiders. The Chargers. Hunter Henry had 7 targets. Melvin Gordon had 12. Keenan Allen had 9. That's 28 out of 35 attempts. Everybody else shared the other 7. What does that tell you? Those guys aren't even going to be used. So those guys aren't even going to be used. For Oakland, Crabtree had 10. Cooper had 6. Crabtree had a third of the targets there. Crabtree is their best receiver by far. Cordero Patterson looked pretty good on those carries there. I like him. Got to watch out for him. I am a fan. I admit that. I'm a fan of Cordero Patterson. I always have been. I think he's a little loose in the head. Speaking of loose in the head, though, I want you to understand something about Martavis Bryant. If I own Martavis Bryant right now, I would be panicked. And here's why. He's got a screw loose. And I don't think there's any mystery there. He legitimately has a screw loose. If he's unhappy, I don't think Martavis Bryant knows how to deal with his anger issues, except by doing something stupid off the field. If this is the case, if you didn't get Juju Smith-Schuster now, please, I beg you from the bottom of my heart, get the Juju now. If they trade Bryant, Schuster's the bomb. If Bryant gets suspended, Schuster's the bomb. Any way you look at it, Schuster's the guy. Now, yes, Antonio Brown gets the most targets. He dominated the targets. I get it. But Schuster will be the number 2 guy there. For Kansas City, Travis Kelce had 7. Tyreek Hill had 7. Demarcus Robinson had 5. DeAnthony Thomas had 4. But they were playing from behind in this game and they barely touched the football. And that's a problem. Time of possession was really in the way for the Steelers there. And that was, so it's very hard to really judge the Chiefs. They didn't have a lot of time of possession, then they were behind. So sometimes I can give you a better read than others. That's like an x-ray that I can't read very well because I don't like that game flow. But if you want to speak of game flow, I want to check out the NBA game flow because I want to start playing NBA DFS, and I'm going to go to scoutdfs.com to do it. My man Fuego Steve Hillman and Jaguar Lou are doling out the advice for NBA starting tonight. Now, I don't play 2-game slates, but I'll be playing tomorrow, and I encourage you, check out scoutdfs.com for the best in NBA, NFL, NHL, and your DFS action. Also, check out scoutfantasy.com. Enter the promo code ROTO2017. Get half off your first month. Be part of a winner. Be part of a winner. Okay? We're trying to get you the best information. We're going to get out our waiver wire stuff. You have this podcast. You'll have tomorrow's waiver wire podcast. We will get you ready. Next couple of weeks, big bye weeks, 8 and 9. Huge bye week issues. We've got to be prepared. Got to be prepared. And if we're prepared, we will win. All right, time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Remember, set your lineups today. We'll take a look tomorrow, Waiver Wire Wednesday. Get your team ready for week number 7. All right, guys, wishing you a great day. Be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!